Hey there, it's Shannon, and welcome to my No Buy Year. I am doing a 2024 no-buy project in which I do not buy clothing or accessories, makeup or skincare, fabric or yarn, books or homewares in 2024. And while my no-buy does not specifically extend to garden supplies and seeds and garden implements and garden things, I want to exercise the same restraint that I'm exercising in other areas of my life in my garden this year. So I thought we could try something a little fun. I thought we could try a shop my stash, but with seeds instead of clothes. I've seen these shop my stash episodes going around YouTube. I've seen them with clothing, I've seen them with makeup. Typically they have to do with beauty products in some way, shape, or form, but I would love to do it with seeds. I really like the idea of going through the seeds that you already have, because most gardeners I know have a box full or a bin full or a binder full, as I do. And I think going through those early in the year, before garden mania starts sweeping the nation, before garden mania starts hitting your area and seeds start filling up stores and your pockets, your shopping cart, doing that before all that happens is a good idea, because then you get a really good assessment of what you already have, what you want to have for the coming year, and what any gaps are in your seed inventory. I do want to put a quick shout out to the creator of these earrings. I found her on Instagram, and they're an independent business, and my experience with them has been phenomenal. These are real flowers. I don't know if I can get close enough, but they're so cool, and they're violets. And I have a special soft spot for violets, and I love them, so I will link her Instagram down below. So for some context and background, I have a permaculture food forest that I am building on my 5-acre property. It is not the entire 5 acres by any stretch of the imagination, and if you want to get a hint of what that looks like, you can go to like my second video. It's a winter garden tour. But I have an annual section to that garden, and I have a food forest section that has primarily perennials and returning native plants. So I have a wide variety of garden space to fill and a wide variety of garden needs. Something I do want to do this year is increase the amount of flowers that I'm growing. I grew a lot of native flowers last year, but also a lot of vegetables and herbs and things like that. A lot of tomato varieties. And this year I'm hoping to expand my flower inventory, and I have the seeds to do that. I know I do. I just have to look and see what I actually have. So without further ado, let's take a look at what's in the seed grimoire. This is how I store my seeds. I store them in a binder. I find that it's just easier to sort them that way. A seed packet fits in a card holder really well, and then you can see the front and the back if you want to, or you can stash multiples, or if you have multiple packets of the same variety, because I can't be the only one who's bought the same one twice before. They can all go in the same pocket. So I like them for that reason, and you can keep them inside where it's climate controlled and out of the damp. So that's why I like the binder method, but I know a lot of people have different practices for seed storing and seed saving, and that's lovely. So let's go ahead and get started. I've already dropped one on the floor. These are my marigold seeds that I harvested from my marigolds last year, so I have a lot of marigold seeds to plant, and I will probably have a lot of those in the garden this year, because anyone interested in seed saving should grow marigolds, because man, those things are prolific. I have a couple different varieties in here. I didn't separate the varieties, I just put them all in here, so I have a dwarf and a regular variety, and I'm just gonna scatter them everywhere and go full chaos garden when it comes to these. So first things first, I have multiple kinds of tomato varieties, and I have multiple tomatoes that I bought last year, and some did better than others. I have beefsteaks, I have mortgage lifters. Those ones are a bit of a longer day variety, but they're really huge and fun. I also have Polish linguiça. I have some Romas and some ground cherry tomatoes, Aunt Molly's ground cherry tomatoes as well. I may make a video at some point on what I find worth it in the garden and what I don't, but if I had a list of what I don't, the ground cherry tomatoes would probably be on it. For me, they're just not worth all of the picking off the ground and peeling and all of the work that goes into them. I also have red and yellow pear blend. These are from Botanical Interests. And I love this variety. These are delicious. I put them in focaccia bread and on pizzas. or I just eat them straight in salads and I love them. One thing I don't have a ton of is bell pepper varieties. I really only have one pepper variety right now, and it's a Gurney's sweet pepper. It's a Triple Delight hybrid, and I don't know, let's see if I have a picture of these. These ones don't have the picture on the package, and that's sometimes a bummer. This is what the Gurney's seed package looks like. And it gives you a lot of great information, but you don't get the pretty picture, so I don't have a picture to show you. But I will say they didn't get huge for me last year, so I might be interested in trying a couple of different pepper varieties to see what works best for the climate that I've got going out here. I'm in zone 5B, 6A, depending on which USDA growth zone map you're going off of. I also have some fun ones. So I have some Sugar Baby watermelon. I have not tried to grow these in this climate, but I know people who have, and some people who have had success. So I'm gonna try it and we will see how it goes. We're gonna see how the watermelons do. I also have some gourds that I'm gonna try, including a 75-day butternut squash variety. So I'm gonna try that as well. I think the Shop My Stash is really serving its purpose already because I can see how many herbs I have that I didn't even get around to planting last year. I have all of my classics. I have thyme and chamomile. I have two different varieties of chamomile, a German and a Roman chamomile. I have basil, and my basil did incredibly well last year. My holy basil in particular got huge and it loved my tomato bed. So I'm good there. But I have a number of these that I didn't grow last year. I have arnica, I have valerian, I have mugwort, and these are things that I didn't get around to planting last year. Last year, my father passed away, and so he passed in March, which is kind of prime garden season, and the garden really just was completely secondary after that. So I'm really hoping to be able to have a lot more fun in my garden this year and hopefully plant some of these things. I get my seeds from all sorts of places. There are Burpee seeds in here. There are Livingston, which is just like the grocery store. Johnny's Seeds, Gurney's, and Strictly Medicinal. And this is my witch tip for anyone who is into herbs and medicinal plants. Strictly Medicinal. Love them. Love them. I get their catalog. I still have the catalog and I get to look through it when I'm done with this, but I have to shop my stash first before I'm allowed. And I might not be allowed to get much this year because, as evidenced, I have a lot of herbs. These are all herbs. Half of this page is herbs here. Let's see, this one is primarily herbs. So there's a lot in the way of that, and I'm probably good for the year, honestly. But I have to at least look at their catalog and see. But I think for the most part, I'm gonna try to stick to planting the seeds that I have and really making use of my current stash, because that is really the spirit of my No by Year. And it's really important to me to go by the spirit of that year and that project and not just the letter. Getting into some of the flowers, I'm really excited to plant these this year because a number of these I didn't get the chance to plant them at all last year. So these packets are sealed. These are sealed packets. I have Johnny Jump Ups, which just matched my outfit today. Very important. But also they're edible, and I like having edible flowers in the garden as much as possible. I also have a zinnia mix. I have Black Magic Bachelor Buttons. Bachelor Buttons are also edible, and so I'm going to try those this year. Anytime you put black or Black Magic or dark or any of those types of adjectives in a flower or a description for a seed, I want it. I want that seed. If it looks like it belongs on this dress, give it to me. Give it to me. For the same reason, this is Renee's Garden. Dark Heirloom Poppies. How exciting is that? I'm excited to try those. And I have some fun colors in some more traditional flowers as well. So I have Delphinium, but these are giant Delphinium, and they're like a lavender pink white mix. I also have a chocolate cherry sunflower, and so that's like a dark burgundy. And my friends that are in flower farming really recommended those. They really enjoy those. Scabiosa pincushion flower, which is the ultimate goth girl flower. So you got yourself a goth girlfriend, get that girl Scabiosa, because it's so cool and rich. And here, this one even has a picture, I'll show you. Like, how sexy is that? I love them, and I love them in person. They look great. I have some weird ones as well. I'm gonna be trying to grow inside. I have strawberry hedgehog cactus and barrel cactus. I used to drop in and check on a neighbor and kind of help him out a little bit, and he gave me some cactus seeds, and I have those from him. I also have several varieties of peas, which are mostly for my dogs. My dogs love peas, and I plant them for us, but mostly for them. That's like a dog treat. I also have all the ones that I used last year, and you can kind of see that these are the ones that did get planted because they're looking a little beat up. My chives did really well last year, which I planted. My borage, I think, is going to do really well this year. I only planted one, but it did well. And then I think when we planted our apple tree, somebody pulled it thinking it was a weed, but I'm just going to replant it, and we're not going to say anything because I have plenty of seeds. So I have those. I also have some kind of fun, mostly purple varieties. That's kind of my color. I mean, I love that color and I wear it a lot, and I want a lot of my landscape plants and my edible plants to be that color. So I have several varieties of lavender, and I have purple sage and some herb varieties that are purple as well. So, I mean, even my wedding ring is purple. So kind of my thing. I'm looking forward to trying these mini Jack pumpkins. They're supposedly pretty easy to grow and pretty reliable, and they have an earlier reward. So I'm hoping that if I grow these vertically and start them early enough, that we'll be able to harvest these. These have an 80 to 85 day harvest, so I still have to do my math and set out my garden calendar and stuff. Some people use computer programs for that. I just have a planner and I like doing it, so that's probably how I'll do mine. I also have a variety of lettuces. Lettuce did great for me last year. I had several different kinds. I had a butter crunch, I had a red velvet, I had Acadia spinach. Spinach is a little challenging in my climate because it's too cold until it's too hot. It's freezing cold and then it gets really warm really quick, and my spinach bolts probably 1 year out of 3, maybe even 2 years out of every 3, you know, and that's just something that happens, and you try different things and different varieties and see how far it gets you. Something else that I'm looking forward to planting in my food forest is alyssum. It's called carpet of snow. It's a great ground cover. It's pure white flowers. They produce pretty easily, and they do really well in containers too. So if you're doing containers or growing on a balcony, alyssum is a really pretty way to do that. I'm also going to be planting more of some things that I already have. I already have echinacea, for example. I have 2 different varieties. I have a pink and a white, but I have an echinacea that's like a classic Magnus echinacea. That's the classic light purple variety that you see everywhere. And I'm going to be planting that because I could have this stuff everywhere. It's medicinal, perennial, super easy. It's pretty, it goes with the vibe. Like, echinacea are a great go-to plant for me. And this is why a Shop Your Stash seed edition is important, because I just found an envelope that is completely sealed and I don't remember what's in it. So I obviously ordered it last year, and maybe it came, you know, at the end of March or something, and I didn't have the emotional energy to deal with it, and I just shoved it in here and called it a day. Which is again why it's good to have your seeds in one place, because otherwise they're in 17 different places. I only have seeds in one other place, and that's because they're in old pill containers, like expired medication or old medication. When you can't think of what to do with the pill containers, I use them for seeds and for seed saving. So I have echinacea seeds, I have rose campion seeds, I have foxglove seeds, and rose, I already said that, columbine seeds, and from my mother-in-law in the old pill containers. So I do have them in one other place. These are, this is my pineapple sage. Anyone who hasn't tried pineapple sage should try it. It's great. It grows just like regular sage, and it's delicious. It has this like tropical kind of flavor, and it's a sweeter sage, and I really like it. Because for me, some of the sage varieties can get a little bitter, and obviously when you dry them, they take on a little bit of a different flavor profile than the fresh stuff, but I find that the pineapple sage is really, really delicious. I also have a Galeen F1 hybrid Italian eggplant, and I planted these last year and they did really well. I had 3 eggplant plants, which is honestly probably too much for us to do in any one year unless we're going to preserve them, because my husband is not a huge eggplant fan and I enjoy it, but like we weren't getting through them fast enough. So I'll probably only do like 1 or 2 eggplant plants this year as opposed to 3 or 4 more. This is one of my favorite things to grow, especially for women who are trying to balance their hormones. This is one kind of getting off into the herbalist land, but I am a big fan of spearmint for that. Obviously, I am not a doctor. I am not a professional, so never ingest any herb without first consulting with a professional medical provider. That being said, I have PCOS and I take spearmint tea and find that it really, really makes a difference in the lessening of my PCOS symptoms. So I like to grow spearmint for that reason. I grow a number of tea type herbs as well. Most herbs have multiple purposes to where you can use them medicinally and you can use them in your cooking and things like that. And you can use them in teas. But some of my favorite to use in teas are chamomile. I like to use dandelion in tea. Dandelion has all sorts of purposes, so if you're just treating it like a weed, don't. I actually bought dandelion seeds. I have dandelion seeds here because we live in a sand pit and I didn't have any naturally occurring dandelions on my property. I thought about swinging by my parents' house, which is just 20 minutes away or whatever, and stealing some of their dandelions because they have so many and I didn't have any because this was just too sandy. That being said, after the first year we were here, I did see some popping up, so I know that we do have them and I was very excited about that. And I was blowing their seeds all over the back 40 because I want them. And we don't use pesticides and stuff, so I can just gather them and gather the roots, and they're great in salads, they're great in teas. They have a lot of purposes. A couple things I am excited to try. I have 2 different hyssop varieties. I have true hyssop and an anise hyssop, so I will be able to try both of those. I also have Delft Blue Nigella, which is a flower, and it's an annual, but it does supposedly like self-seed for some people. I have not tried it before, so I'm looking forward to trying that. I also have a Queenie formula of zinnias, and I always, on Instagram, I always see these gorgeous like zinnia patches, and I want to try that. I want to try a zinnia patch this year. I also, you know how I said I only had seeds in a couple places? I kind of lied because I do have tubers. I have dahlia tubers in the garage, and I have Thomas Edison. They're mostly Thomas Edison varieties. So they're Thomas Edison. I love those dark purple Thomas Edison dahlias. I had them in my wedding, so I'm very partial to them, and so I do have some dahlia tubers in the garage. And I have some straw flower. I forgot about that. I have some straw flower, which make beautiful dried flowers for dried arrangements, which I'm looking forward to sort of pursuing a little bit more this year as well. So the moral of the story is that I have plenty of seeds for this year. I may get a bell pepper variety. I saw a lilac bell pepper that I kind of want to try. I mean, it's purple, so you know, I have to try it. But I might get another bell pepper variety. But for the most part, everything I need is right here. So I've got most of the things that I need, and I do have several gardener friends in the area where we will do seed swaps or plant swaps once the gardening season is fully underway. I'm just really excited to get the gardening season underway, and I know it's only February, but the time is now. If you are planting a garden, start now and start getting an idea of what seeds you have and what seeds you want and what kind of plantings your garden is going to have this year, because I truly believe that a successful garden starts in the wintertime. And you can certainly have a successful one if you just jump out there in June and start throwing stuff in the ground. I mean, I'm a bit of a chaos gardener myself, so I'm very pro hurl seeds in the dirt and see what happens. But some of my favorite things that I've planted have been things that I was like, oh, I need to order that to get my hands on it. Or, oh, I want to make sure that I have X, Y, and Z and get that planted early enough that I can have seedlings in June. So I do think there's something to be said for talking about it in February. even if it's just to spark joy when it is cold and gray outside. So here's to that, and here's to you manifesting magic in your own life. Bye.